There's something timelessly unsettling about a painted smile. Clowns, once symbols of laughter and childlike wonder, have taken on a much darker reputation in recent decades. Behind the grease paint and oversized shoes, we find something far more sinister, a twisted mockery of joy that has wormed its way into our collective nightmares. From dark carnival tents to desolate country roads, the image of the killer clown has become a modern myth stitched from real terror, folklore, and the unexplained. In this episode, we're peeling back that colorful mask to expose the shadows beneath. These are stories not just of murder and madness, but of fear itself, where comedy curdles into cruelty and facepaint hides something monstrous. So lock your doors, turn on your lights, and prepare yourself. The clowns are coming. We'll see you on the inside. You are now entering the realm of the freaky deaky, an unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality. About time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically. Folks, welcome back to the show. I am here to redeem myself for last week's monstrosity.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen, but I will do my best. So, this episode, I'm hoping, is going to be a bit more clear. And we're going to, we got to talk about clowns. It's Christian's favorite. He actually suggested this episode. He's like, Scott, I just absolutely love talking about clowns. And I hope you bring up John Wayne Gacy at some point. And
I was going to bring him up.
I already have a segment. It's actually the first segment we're going to get into in this episode. But clowns are, we're kind of just covering, it's a mixed bag of clown stuff, And that's creepy. I don't care how you slice it. And it actually, putting this episode together reminded me of some absolutely crazy clown stuff that has happened over the recent past. And I gotta be honest, I wasn't mad at it. I don't think I put it in this episode, but do you remember that? I think it's outside, it's somewhere in Nevada. It's like a clown hotel. Just this desolate...
Circus?
No, like outside, like in the middle of the desert. There's like this clown motel or something like that. You should pull it up. I want to say it's in Nevada. Right outside, maybe Mesquite. I can't remember. Super creepy. I should have gone there when I lived out there, but I never did. Regrets?
It is called world famous The Clown Motel, Tonopah, Nevada.
Not too close. It's fine. I was mainly in the Summerlin. I lived near Floyd Mayweather and watched him and his 50 bodyguards. This dude, when I get back late at night, this dude be running on the sidewalks, right? With a big-ass black SUV trailing him by 20 feet with a flashlight on him. Like, literally just a dude in the passenger seat driving with a flashlight on him so he could see where he was going. Like, wow, dude. Wow.
If I'm ever that rich, I will never be that asshole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard so many rumors about him. I heard that he never wears a pair of underwear twice.
Yeah, because he's a piece of shit.
Like, he's just got a closet full of fresh underwear.
Maybe I shouldn't. I don't usually refer to people like that, so...
It's fine, Christian. You can have moments. You can have your moments too.
I just don't like that kind of arrogance.
There's something to it.
Like, I don't mind arrogant a little bit, but not that kind.
Yeah. Well, just remind him that he can't read or whatever, and you should be fine. Or just hold a sign up to his face that says
who
you're
did
dumb.
That? Was that a comedian that called him out? Or I forgot who that was.
Probably Conor McGregor, to be honest with you. That's probably, and I'm sure they're best friends. Anyway, guys, we're going to start this off. You guys already know where to find us on social media, right? At Freaky Deaky Pod. You already know that you can buy all the coolest merchandise that this genre has ever known at thefreakydeaky.com, including Sasquatch, our hot sauce, including sticker packs, which I bet you didn't know that you could get those because you've been asking forever, and now they're there. And guess what? Yeah, you're welcome. They're the best thing ever. There's literally like 3 or 4 or 5. I can't remember at this point, but so many good designs in there. A nice little mystery pack.
They're all good.
Yeah, honestly, treat yourself. Treat yourself to something nice. This is not your run-of-the-mill paranormal podcast rectangle. Oh, we got our name on the sticker. It's cool. No, this is dope ass designs. Okay, I do this for a living. All right, trust and believe. It's worth the purchase price. Anyhow, I haven't been to like fairs or anything like that in the lower 48 to see what sticker prices are like down there. But I know out here, if I go to any kind of booth that has stickers, the 3-inch straight up plain vinyl stickers, it's going to be like $3 a pop, $3 or $4. And that's kind of what I priced it based off of. So if they don't sell, I guess people know. People have cheap stickers down in the States. Well, that's not how we do things up here in Alaska, all right?
Everything's expensive. You don't want to move here.
We got to fight a grizzly bear just to get that booth set up. You have no idea. We're going to start things off with John Wayne Gacy. I'm not going to talk about any more marketing or anything like that. It feels tired, you know?
For now.
So anyway, John Wayne Gacy was a big fan of the Freaky Deaky merch at thefreakydeaky.com. No, it's fine. So yeah, the killer behind the paint, John Wayne Gacy, wasn't just a murderer. He was a monster who wore a painted smile. Between 1972 and 1978, Gacy, oopsie-daisy, he tortured and murdered at least 33 young men. I guess I can say raped because I said murdered. So.
No, don't say that. But either way, trigger warning, people. Trigger warning.
Well, if you guys don't know what John Wayne Gacy has done by now, that's kind of on you.
We might have some youths.
Oh, the youths. I forgot about the youths. And this is about 33 young men and boys. So if anything, the youth should be warned. Yeah, guys. So it's a little saucy. It gets a little saucy in here. It's fine. So anyway, yeah, Gacy was going around raping and torturing at least 33 young men and boys in the Chicago area, burying many of them beneath his suburban home. He presented himself as a respectable businessman and active community member. By day, he was a successful contractor and a fixture in local politics. That still blows my mind. By night, he performed at children's hospitals and parties as Pogo the Clown, a persona that now chills the very concept of clowning to its core. What made Gacy's case uniquely terrifying wasn't just the scale of his crimes, it was the duality. The cheerful clown who made balloon animals and brought laughter to kids was the same man digging shallow graves in his crawl space. During interviews, Gacy often referred to Pogo as a separate character entirely, suggesting a psychological split that blurred the line between performance and pathology. While psychologists debated whether this was genuine dissociation or manipulation, the fact remained. The clown suit became an armor, a disguise, and eventually, a symbol of evil. The discovery of the bodies was a national horror show. Police found the remains of 29 victims beneath his home. 4 more were recovered from nearby rivers. The details were gruesome. Victims were often strangled or asphyxiated, some still wearing the ropes that killed them. Gacy kept trophies, including driver's licenses and personal items, as morbid souvenirs. What truly disturbed the public was how he had operated in plain sight, earning the nickname the Killer Clown. In the aftermath, the clowns across the country felt the ripple effects. Nobody wants my balloon animals anymore, damn it. Where once their presence brought joy, they now evoked fear.
It's because the balloon animals were in the shape of a penis.
I just got rid of that one, Christian.
Lucky me.
I just got rid of Satan's penis. There
this might have been kind of close.
Satan's penis. There, I pretty much got your cadence down exactly. Psychologists began studying coulrophobia, the fear of clowns, as a rising phenomenon.
Is it rising?
Or has it always been there? While clowns...
That's what John Gacy said.
Oh, yeah. He said, is it rising? Wow, Christian. Disgusting. Absolutely macabre for this show. However, getting back into it, while clowns had long played the fool or the trickster in folklore, Gacy had forever shifted the cultural perception. The media frenzy dubbed him a real-life monster, and when Stephen King released It just a few years later, Pennywise the Clown felt eerily plausible. Yes, that's another pervert. Don't get me started on that.
You're wrong there, but Pennywise was a demon, so that's why he was scary.
And he was also a clown.
No, he was a demon that dressed as a clown.
Which, yeah, I mean, personal choices there, sure.
John Wayne Gacy was a serial killer that dressed as a clown. So I guess you're right. Moving on.
John Wayne Gacy was a clown that dressed as a demon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude,
yeah. We solved it. Gacy's case also had political consequences. His crimes prompted sweeping changes to how missing children cases were handled. Organizations like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children gained momentum in part because of the horror that Gacy left behind. His execution in 1994 closed the book legally, but culturally, his ghost lingers. Memorabilia from his trial, including clown paintings he created in prison, beautiful, continue to surface online, often to outrage and fascination in equal measure. Mainly outrage, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But except for the women, they're like, "Oh my God, he's so dreamy."
I don't think that happened as much with him because he was gay, but he was married.
You don't think women go after gay men, Christian? Come on, exclusively what they go after. The legacy of Gacy's crimes proves how a single figure can warp an entire archetype. The killer clown is not just a trope, it's a manifestation of real fear born from a man who twisted innocence into something unspeakable. He didn't hide behind the mask, he became it. And in doing so, he infected our perception of clowns forever. Gacy's story raises a disturbing question. Can anyone really know what lies beneath a painted face? And more chilling still, what if the mask isn't there to hide the monster, but to invite it? Dun 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 dun. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so it was at the end of it?
That was the end. Yes, that was the end of the Gacy write-up.
Okay, I have some thoughts. First off, when you brought up John Wayne Gacy and the Killer Clown,
Sure.
I happen to remember a connection to another serial killer who operated similarly, but he lived in Texas.
Don Wayne Gacy.
Close.
Huh.
Dean Corll.
Dean Corll.
He operated out of Texas, same type of murders, same type of victims. He wasn't a clown, but you know what his nickname is? Candyman.
Ah, yes, of course.
So there were theories that those two had been in communication, even though they lived in different states. Not proven at this point, but just fascinating. Also, I think clowns were already on the downfall or downtrend when Gacy came around because, like I said, I didn't even know about Gacy until like the late 80s. And clowns creeped me out from basically all I can remember. Clowns creeped me out. Back in my day, my mom tried to push Bozo, I think.
Bozo, hell yeah.
And then later on, I came across a clown that was kind of funny. His name was Homie the Clown.
His name was Ronald.
No, it was Homie.
Homie the Clown.
You never heard of Homie the Clown?
Homie the Clown. Was this in Southern California?
In Living Color.
Oh.
Damon Wayans played a character called Homie the Clown.
I was picturing a Mexican one, but that's fine. Mexican clown.
So,
Homie the Clown.
And also,
It's got one button.
What if...
White tank top.
Yeah, I think he did have a white tank top.
Bandana, probably.
Because he was a drunk.
He
was like balding. He had it was hard to explain. Somebody's going to throw up a picture of Homie.
Christian, half of or 95% of our audience is elderly. Everyone knows who you're talking about, except for me at this point. Me and like 4 other people.
You'll get it. Someone will post it.
Yeah. Someone already has.
Okay.
It's there. Look right now. I'm willing to bet. Go to the Facebook groups. It's there.
Probably. I had another point. What if the downfall of clowns came from the fact, it's like residual, like kids didn't start hating clowns till later on in life. Mm-hmm. But I think it started happening in like the 50s and 60s.
Sure.
Some of them clowns were pedos. Maybe that's why. Do you ever think of that?
Well, I am now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
The visual I was hoping for on the Scary Clown episode. But...
I mean, and then throughout the years, those people that dealt with those clowns started hating them, and then we get John Wayne Gacy and or Pennywise and
Ronald.
Every other clown since then. What's the clown's name from The Simpsons?
Krusty?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a lot like Homie.
You know what's funny? I never watched The Simpsons.
I haven't watched it in a long time.
All right. Yeah. So that concludes the John Wayne Gacy bit.
The actual most horrible clown that ever existed that we know of.
Pretty much. But this next section is actually going to be a little creepier, and this is probably going to shake loose a few memories from folks because I had completely forgotten about this until I was putting this episode together. All right, so I'm obviously referring to the clown panic of 2016. This time the fear wasn't tied to a single killer, but to something far more insidious, a viral phenomenon that blurred the line between prank, paranoia, and pure dread. When the world lost its mind over clowns. You remember that, obviously, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
disappeared very quickly, as we mentioned previously when things weren't recording. It's fine.
if a clown scared the shit out of me, they would need to disappear pretty quickly.
And they would, under 6 feet of gravel. But
We have water in Alaska. We're
6
okay.
feet of fresh dirt.
We don't condone violence.
Christian doesn't. It's fine.
That's what our lawyers tell us to say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say, Christian. Anyway, yeah, that I remember, I can vividly remember that taking place and just how blown away I was. I was like, I get to live in a time when this is happening?
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I
it
never
just
would have.
disappeared.
I just was like, this is so ridiculous, but also hilarious.
Mm. Yeah. Very true. It started with a whisper. In August 2016, a report came out of Greenville, South Carolina. Children claimed that clowns were trying to lure them into the woods near their apartment complex. The descriptions were eerie: face paint, wild hair, silent gestures. At first, it sounded like the stuff of children's imaginations or maybe a prank, but the police took it seriously. Officers patrolled the area, but no clowns were found. Still, the seed had been planted, and it grew fast. Within weeks, reports of creepy clown sightings spread like wildfire. Across the United States, people were calling 911 to report menacing clowns lurking near schools, standing silently in fields, or even chasing people down roads. Some were caught on shaky cell phone videos, others were just glimpsed from passing cars. From Pennsylvania to Florida, Arizona to California, America seemed to be under siege from anonymous painted figures hiding in the shadows. And then it went global. Reports of clown sightings cropped up in Canada, the UK, Australia, Germany, and even South America. The world was gripped by what can only be described as mass hysteria. Schools went into lockdown. Halloween stores reported massive spike in clown costume sales, right alongside a rise in local ordinances banning clown outfits in public. McDonald's even quietly sidelined Ronald McDonald during the height of the frenzy, hoping to avoid controversy.
Oh, I forgot. Back in the day, he was kind of a cool clown.
Yeah, isn't that weird that like it was, I didn't realize that it was around that time that they were like, no, let's get rid of Ronald.
I didn't realize it either.
Yeah, until I was putting this together, I'm like, holy shit, I guess that does kind of make sense.
But that's kind of around the time I stopped eating at McDonald's, so maybe I didn't pay attention.
Oh, I didn't realize you were better than the rest of us.
I'm not better. It's just
Healthier. Ooh.
I don't like that bloated feeling.
Have you ever heard
And
of it?
also the food tastes like cardboard now.
Does
I don't
it?
know if you've been there lately.
Yeah, I was there yesterday.
Yeah. You have different tastes than me.
Yeah, I'm one of the few people that probably worked at McDonald's for 7 years or whatever, and then still loved McDonald's afterwards. Like, I not so much as a job, like it got old, you know, or tiresome in the desert, but
I'm like
the
that
food,
with
hell yeah.
I'm like that with Subway.
That's weird.
China's mom worked at Subway when we met.
Yeah.
So she would like make me a sandwich just the way I liked it.
Mhm.
I still have I'll change the whatever sandwich it is,
Sure.
but it's made exactly the same way.
Wow.
I know. So I get it. I get that part of it.
Have it your way. Oh, wait, that's Burger King.
Yeah.
That's fine. All that and more next week.
And it's BK.
The BK.
Have it your way. You've seen the commercials last hockey season. It was every other effing
It's
commercial.
every hockey season for the last 10 years. Yeah. Yep. I sure do. Anyway. Yeah. So RIP Ronald McDonald, you know, weird, creepy ass face used to be on every McDonald's commercial.
I just stared at those big ass shoes,
I bet you did, you pervert.
not knowing why I was staring at them for many years. I wanted to think about my raw meat. And I think I was thinking about a clown's raw meat in this
Yeah.
case.
Well,
I have a really good box.
so anyway, now we got that out of the
Yeah,
way.
moving along.
Now we got done talking about Ronald McDonald's box. We can just go ahead and carry along. But here's the thing. Despite hundreds of sightings and a tidal wave of panic, very few actual crimes were committed. Some arrests were made, mostly for trespassing, threats, or carrying weapons while dressed in clown attire. A 20-year-old in Kentucky was caught crouching behind an apartment building in a full clown getup holding a knife. In another incident, a teen dressed as a clown was shot and killed by a homeowner in Pennsylvania who believed he was under attack. What began as a prank or perhaps viral marketing spun rapidly into violence and paranoia. Folklorists and sociologists were fascinated. The 2016 clown panic wasn't just a coincidence. It followed a pattern of moral, panics and urban legends.
Moral panic.
Moral panics and urban legends.
That's a little bit of a push. The urban legend, okay.
Wow, very judgy. Experts pointed to earlier events like the 1981 Phantom Clown sightings. Do you remember that?
Nope. I was 11 or 10.
Person subline, you're like 94. Where children in Boston, Pittsburgh, and Kansas City reported similar clown luring incidents. None were ever substantiated, but the fear felt very real. David Emery, a folklorist and urban myth researcher, noted that the fear of clowns often spikes during times of societal anxiety. In 2016, with a contentious election looming and social media amplifying every whisper, the world was a powder keg and the clown was the spark.
That's very dramatic.
I know. Well, I was trying to end it with a very dramatic sentence there. Social media deserves a huge share of the blame. Hashtags like clown sightings and hashtag killer clown trended on Twitter. You remember that old bird? YouTube was flooded with staged prank videos of clowns chasing people with weapons. These clips blurred the line between fiction and reality, feeding the fear loop. Police departments began issuing warnings. Schools banned clown costumes outright. A hoax threat that, quote, killer clowns would target schools on Halloween prompted nationwide concern and police mobilization. Interestingly enough, the hysteria reached its peak and collapsed just as quickly. By November of 2016, the panic had fizzled out. The clown sightings stopped, the reports dried up, no serial killer was unmasked, no underground clown cult was discovered, but the cultural scar remained. So what happened? Experts argue that the clown panic was less about clowns and more about collective anxiety. The clown, already a figure of fear for many, became a vessel for societal dread. And once the media picked it up, the hysteria became self-sustaining. It wasn't about whether there was a clown in the woods, it was the possibility of one that terrified people. And in an age where fear spreads faster than fact, that was more than enough. 2016 clown panic may not have left a body count like John Wayne Gacy did, but it exposed something equally unsettling. Our fear is easily manipulated. With a camera, a costume, and a few well-placed social media posts, the world was tricked into believing that nightmare clowns were everywhere. And maybe, in a way, they were. Because the real terror wasn't the clown in the field, it was how quickly we all looked over our shoulders and believed it might be real.
America. Also, yes. I would like to shorten or paraphrase all those fancy words you use there and say, the reason that we had the clown thing is because that shit was funny. It was funny. The whole clown thing to me was funny when it came out. I wasn't scared. I was like, this is hilarious that a bunch of teenagers are dressing up as clowns and laughing at everybody freaking out.
I think
until one gets shot.
We probably found it hilarious, but I think like kids and stuff like that probably not find it as funny.
But most of these clown sightings, I know you mentioned one that kids saw, but most of them were in places that only adults were going to be. Or, you know, at night when
driving down the road.
Yeah. So I think it was a good way to gain viewership on boring news programs. And if they can sensationalize people dressed in clowns and make people panic over it, well, imagine what they do with real stuff.
How do we get that level of guerrilla marketing for this podcast? How do we get people to dress up in Sasquatch gear and stand over like on top of an overpass with a sign that says, listen to the Freaky Deaky?
I'm not going to do that because I live in Alaska.
Yeah, we'd get shot pretty quickly out here.
Yeah.
Thinking we're a bear or a Sasquatch. Either way, that shoots you. But how do we tap into that?
Do we want to?
We'll figure it out. Guys, give us ideas in the Facebook group. We'll keep it cultish. Don't worry.
Can I throw out maybe more of a modern clown thing that I'm not sure, but according to the things that pop up sometimes on like TikTok or social media,
sure,
I think clown porn is a thing now.
Excuse me?
Clown porn.
Is that like food porn where you're obsessed with food pictures and stuff, or are you talking actual clown pornography?
I think there's girls wearing clown makeup doing.
Okay, but is it clowns that are getting off to this, or is it actual?
They have clown face.
No, I'm saying the people watching the clown.
I don't know, man. I'm saying these are things that I see. There's this one girl.
I just have questions is all, you know?
I have questions too. I'm just afraid to dig.
Yeah.
But I know there was this one girl, I think it was on TikTok maybe
Hmm.
last year, and she would just do these stupid clown things. I thought she was like part of like dressing up like the Wendy's
Gotcha.
character,
Yes.
but with clown makeup.
Okay. The Wendy's character, for the record, is Wendy.
Yeah, but I think she was also making fun of McDonald's with the clown makeup, and then all of a sudden, her videos had all these different people wearing different fast food things dressed
just
up
with their tits out and stuff.
No, because it was TikTok. It was just looking cute, but with clown makeup and full of nightmares.
Okay, that's not necessarily porn, though. You know.
That usually leads.
Okay, guys will like yank it to whatever, but for the most part, I'm picturing like clowns just going at each other. You know, like just red noses squeaking left and right.
That's a different kind of porn. I also do not want to ever see.
Yeah, that's why I really need clarification, because you said clown porn, and I'm picturing clowns boinking. You know,
I feel like if clowns squeezing each other's nose and honking came out in 2016 and the media reported on it, that might be scary.
Yeah,
that you might have to worry about your kids. But the clowns that came out, I'm like, except for that one guy got shot.
Which you had to know what happened at some point.
Yeah, that's probably, exactly.
Glad we escaped the other stuff. It's fine. We're going to go ahead and get into, and I actually need to say something that I've wanted to say for the last 2 episodes. Guys, my voice is so shot and has been since we got back from California. So, turns out when you go to California after 10 years and you have allergies and you didn't know that, and then you go home, and then so much as a flower opens up within 30 feet of you and your voice collapses and your neck falls into itself for 10 days. So if I sound weird or a little gravelly, it's because I'm still technically getting over that after a week and a half of being back in Alaska.
If it makes you feel, well, Scott knows this, but I had massive allergies in Colorado. Mm-hmm. But I was in the desert part of Colorado, and Scott was in the desert part of California. So maybe there's
it turns out the fresh air was actually pretty good for us in Alaska.
Oh, I know that. That's the one thing I like. I don't know if you noticed it this time or you were paying attention, but when I'd go back home and then come back to Alaska, the air is much better here. And it's not even close. Yeah. But Alaskans know that. I'm sure most people know that by now.
We're pretty much better than you, and there's nothing you can say about it. You know,
true.
It's fine.
Except the winter's long.
Yeah, that's not fun at all.
You're better than us on that one.
Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into Pennywise and pop culture.
Pennywise.
And this is the rise of the evil clown. And Christian, this entire episode has a nice arc to it. And it's concluded with kind of like an introspective look at society. So getting really deep with this one. But
I'll be the judge.
We'll see if it pulled off. Last episode, I thought that was going to be fantastic, and it turned hella dumb.
I think we're
so dumb. I don't even know if people have hated it yet because we're recording it before it came out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So by the time people listen to it, they're like, that was my favorite episode. And I'm just over here shitting on it. But I know no one's going to say that. So take that. Take that, people that might have tried to lift my spirits. Anyway.
Can't be done. Keep trying, though.
Actually, someone did lift my spirits on Instagram via message. She pretty much said that you have the worst taste in music of all time and reaffirmed that Manchester Orchestra is the best band of all time. So thank you for doing that.
So there's 2 of you that are absolutely wrong.
No, 2 of us that are 100% certifiably correct.
Actually, I don't attack people's taste in music unless they
taste Creed.
Whatever. Creed is like beans now to me.
Yep, he loves it.
Unless you listen to exclusively modern country, then I'll respect what you listen to.
Wow, Teresa, you hear that? He's coming for you.
Modern country, exclusive modern country.
She told me that's exclusively all she listens to. 100%. She's nothing else but modern country.
Well, then she has bad taste in music. Sorry,
Teresa. I got you into that, and you didn't deserve that. But it's okay.
I have bad taste in things too. It's
true. The man likes well done steak. Anyways,
that's just because it's gross to think about red meat.
We were talking about clowns doinking very recently.
Yeah, but I don't.
And thinking about red meat is where you draw the line.
I want him to think about my raw meat. Exactly.
My raw red meat.
You're not going to see my raw meat because I'm going to accidentally overcook it every time. Today,
did you say raw meat?
I stuttered.
Raw meat. Okay. It's fine. Guys, we need to get into the Pennywise. Oh, gross.
Right into
Can't escape it.
Pennywise.
Let's get right into Pennywise. Satan's penis. Anyway, there's one figure responsible for dragging clowns from the big top into the abyss of our nightmares, and that's Pennywise. First appearing in Stephen King's 1986 perverted horror novel, It, this child-eating entity cloaked in grease paint tapped into something primal, turning the symbol of childhood innocence into a grinning predator. Just like Stephen King. But Pennywise didn't invent the evil clown trope. He simply perfected it. The original It novel quickly became a bestseller, and in 1990 the story was adopted into a two-part television miniseries starring Tim Curry. Curry's performance as Pennywise was nothing short of iconic, smirking, sadistic, and utterly unhinged. For an entire generation of viewers, he became the definitive image of the scary clown. Then in 2017, a new wave of terror was unleashed when God, they need a different name for that because I'm reading it like just the word It. When It returned to the big screen, Bill Skarsgård's version of Pennywise was more monstrous, more feral.
It was.
And yes, that was very true, and arguably more effective. The film smashed box office records.
I have a really good box.
Becoming the highest grossing horror movie of all time. And just like that, the evil clown was enshrined in mainstream culture. But Pennywise didn't rise in a vacuum. The character belongs to a long lineage of disturbing clowns in fiction. In the 1980s, the movie Poltergeist featured a harrowing scene where a possessed toy clown attacks a young boy. In the 1988 cult classic Killer Clowns from Outer Space, alien invaders disguised as clowns kidnap and kill unsuspecting townsfolk, wrapping their victims in cotton candy cocoons. More recently, characters like Twisty the Clown from American Horror Story, he was pretty messed up. I remember that.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I would not recommend. Freak Show and the Joker. I'm sorry, Twisty the Clown from American Horror Story, Freak Show, and the Joker in The Dark Knight, and Joker 2019, I guess we could add, have further cemented the clown as a figure of dread. So why are we all so afraid of clowns? Psychologists call it coulrophobia, the fear of clowns, and it's more common than you may think. According to a 2016 Chapman University survey, more Americans were afraid of clowns than of terrorism, climate change, or dying.
That is just plain.
That's stupid, okay?
That is why we have the world we have.
Because you're more afraid of clowns than dying. If anything, be afraid of dying by clowns.
Also, clowns are fictional characters. You're fine.
Yeah. That's not just sensationalism. It speaks to a deep, visceral unease. Experts say it's tied to the idea of the uncanny, a concept popularized by Sigmund Freud, which refers to something that is familiar yet unsettling. No? Okay, well, I guess Christian figured it out. A clown's frozen grin, exaggerated features, and over-the-top behavior tick all of these boxes. The clown's face, painted and unreadable, masks true emotion. That ambiguity breeds mistrust. You don't know what's going on beneath the surface. Is the smile genuine, or is it hiding something far worse? In many ways, the evil clown is the perfect predator. It's supposed to be safe. It's supposed to make you laugh. And when it doesn't, your brain rebels. And the media has capitalized on this fear. After the success of It, a flood of low-budget horror films rushed to paint clowns as killers. Tittles the Clown, or Titles the Clown, I guess. Tittles sounds way better.
I think it's Tittles.
But there's only one T. It's Titles, Titles.
Maybe clowns can't spell.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wow, stupid. Pardon me, everyone. It's Titles Like Clown.
What the hell, Scott?
Titles like Clown, Terrifier, and Stitches tapped into our cultural unease with varying degrees of success. I thought it was Tittles the Clown. Tittles the Clown, Terrifier, and Stitches. Tittles the Clown. That's the TFD clown, Tittles. We found him. YouTube channels began crafting elaborate clown-themed prank videos, some of which blurred ethical lines by terrifying unsuspecting strangers in parking lots.
I've seen those videos. Those are hilarious.
Those are very creepy.
They're creepy, but hilarious.
Yeah.
They're one of the few I'll watch like that because it's just like, I want to see the look on their face.
I just keep expecting someone to get shot. Like, you run up on the wrong person like that, they're like, all right, time to die. Anyway.
Especially the way they do it in some of those videos.
Yeah.
Like the ones that just stand there and stare and the guy's like, not sure what to do. And then they just run at the guy real quick.
Yeah. Jump 8 feet in the air. And like, oh.
I'm not a fast runner. I would stand and just attack.
You just open your arms.
No.
With arms wide open.
I will never do arms wide open in that voice.
Well, that's the only voice you can do, arms wide open.
I can't ever say that phrase anymore again after this. Then.
Okay.
My arms are shut.
With arms
crossed when the clown tries to hug me. I don't know what the fuck. But we got to make it sound like a song.
There you go.
You're the artiste.
Let me just grab my artist supplies. Anyway, yeah. So some of them were terrifying, unsuspecting strangers in parking lots, subways, and quiet suburban streets. These videos racked up millions of views, and fear sells. Fear sells, and evil clowns deliver. What's fascinating is that this version of the clown, a child killer, a supernatural predator, a masked maniac, has now completely overtaken the clown's original identity. Ask a kid today what they think of clowns, and you're more likely to hear creepy than funny. In fact, professional clowns have publicly lamented the shift in perception. Organizations like Clowns of America International have denounced...
True. I've watched them on like 60 Minutes or some weird-ass show like that.
That sounds like a place you would watch it. Have denounced horror portrayals of clowns, arguing that it unfairly demonizes their profession.
Unfairly is incorrect.
Some have even faced job losses as birthday gigs and public appearances dried up following media-driven clown scares. This is kind of like the movie It, and let's go ahead and say John Wayne Gacy, is to clowns what AI is to me now.
I think
wow,
that's a fair comparison.
Yeah, these clowns that are like, we're losing our jobs because everyone thinks we're terrifying. And me, I'm like, I'm not going to lose my job to AI. And then like 8 months later, I'm like, I think I might lose my job to AI.
Unless you're at a circus, you probably don't have a job as a clown anymore. And they had a pretty big little union or whatever the hell they had, organization.
What else do they have?
A black.
Okay. Okay. That one landed with at least one person in the audience. Christian, it doesn't have to be you.
Racist in the audience.
Christian, it was you that said it, dude, first of all.
I feel like that is not the full phrase.
Why wouldn't it be?
There's no context.
Christian, every time you're racist, there's hardly ever any context, you know? But hey, you know?
Someone's got to do it.
Anyway, so yes, the organization like Clouds of America, yes. Clowns of America International have denounced horror portrayals of clowns, arguing that it unfairly demonizes their profession. Some have even faced job losses as birthday gigs and public appearances dried up following media-driven clown scares. The truth is, we've crossed a cultural threshold. The clown, once a figure of joy, now lives mostly in the shadows. Pennywise is no longer just a character, he's an archetype. He represents how innocence can be corrupted, how joy can be twisted into something malevolent, and that resonates more deeply than we care to admit. Because maybe we don't fear clowns simply because they look weird. Maybe we fear them because they represent the mask everyone wears and the darkness that could lie underneath. Do you see how I'm layering stuff, Christian? Do you see how I'm giving you some life tips, some life lessons, some introspection here? All right, so much better than last week. Okay. Last week I was just reading through and I was just like confused, you know?
You're like, how do I do this podcast thing?
I was like, it's been 3 weeks since I've sat down in a chair and talked about ghosts, all right? I'm new. I'm a baby. I'm a baby deer in this. I'm Bambi.
That explains why you pooped your pants.
It does. It doesn't explain why our listeners needed to hear about that, Christian.
Oh.
I thought that was just between us.
Scott, edit that out. A black.
Anyway.
It doesn't affect me.
How dare you? So, do you have any thoughts on that? Or do you think I'm just absolutely correct?
I think there's many things I think about this. I still think it shows a weakness in our character that we're afraid of clowns for no reason other than maybe a movie or a serial killer, which most of us are never going to be killed by a serial killer. So we really, other than basic taking care, being safe, we don't need to worry about it. But another thing I would say is there's still we have plenty of clowns and they all still wear makeup. They're just all spending a lot of time in Washington, D.C.
Wow. They do wear makeup. There's that, yeah.
You have to. You're on TV constantly or on social media. You got to look good if you're a politician, and makeup is part of it. You know, with lighting, we don't do lighting, obviously.
That's why we look so horrendous.
I look wonderful.
Okay.
My mom always told me.
Christian, there's been several videos where I have gotten the film grading incorrect.
Or the light.
And you look just...
I remember that one where I think you had a yellow light on or something, and we realized we could never do it.
Ghastly, dude. Like, yeah, just both of us. We looked like ghouls.
That's fine sometimes.
Yeah.
You saw me in real life, you'd be like, ooh.
You'd be like, hot damn, what happened? What happened to the ghouly guy? This is a friendly reminder, Christian is single. So, ladies, if you're in Alaska, his number is... we have so many listeners that I'm sure are just in love with you, Christian. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
Thank you, guys.
I've seen enough comments, and I can read between the lines on enough of these horny old bats that I'm like,
I'm a Leo.
They're one a piece, you know?
I mean, who could blame them? I'm a catch.
Well, when the other host isn't available, you get what you get, you know? I'm already spoken for, and the audience knows that.
And just in case you missed it, I am not.
That is true. Yep.
As of this recording.
Maybe
so you better get with it.
Yeah, maybe we do like those old auctions, but for you, be like, all right, buy a date with Christian, you know?
Ooh.
You know, the studio needs better gear. We need a $2,000 camera. Someone buy a date with Christian for $10,000.
I would do it just so we could do a whole episode about it.
You could whore yourself out for $2,000, right?
You know what? This reminds me of a text I got from my sister. And
Weird.
First I didn't understand what she was talking about, but she's like, so if I pay $9, I can get you to say anything I want?
Oh, holler baby. Yeah. I was like, what the hell?
I'm like, took me a minute. And then I'm like, yes. And then I'm like, unless it's foul.
Oh,
because it's my sister.
And you do reserve the right.
And she's a nurse.
And does she talk about chickens very often? Or
no. Chickens. Oh, foul. Foul, not FOWL.
Okay. Glad we cleared that up.
Are chickens foul?
I think so.
I know ducks are.
Ducks aren't foul, are they? Yeah. Was this the episode?
Do you know what ducks do to dead ducks? Very foul.
That's foul, yes. And in that case, chickens are also foul because they poop out eggs. And you got to
clean them. And we eat them. I ate some today.
You ate some chicken poop eggs? Wow.
Atlas was like, no. Actually, he said hell no. And I'm like, don't say that. No, he didn't say hell no. That would be funny. I'd be like, you get that from your dad?
Wow. Everyone always assumes it's me. Everything that he's said weird has been from China for the most part.
Well, I mean, you know I don't cuss that much, so.
Yeah, and also China, when she swears, she kind of emphasizes them a little too much. Like me, I'll hide it in a sentence, so he doesn't know which word is spicy.
That's when he goes, what?
Yeah, I'm like, nothing, boy. Eat your fucking breakfast, okay? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so to close this out, we don't really do this too often. We usually end with stories and stuff, but I'm switching it up a bit.
Wait,
right?
Are you going to be like...
I want you guys to open up. No.
Are you going to play a psychologist for a moment?
This is a little closeout segment I like to call Fear in the Familiar. Clowns weren't always scary.
Yes, they were.
Okay. Once they were symbols of joy, of mischief, yes, but also of laughter, color,
and
celebration.
That's lack of color.
Oh. Isn't it all color? White is lack of color. Got him.
You're the artist. You're looking at me like I'm supposed to know. I'm like, I don't know.
I guess I should be more used to you randomly saying shit on this show that is completely false with the confidence of thinking that it's completely true. So
no, that's your job.
Anyway, somewhere along the way, something changed. The makeup started to look like a mask. The painted smiles began to feel false. We started looking twice, wondering what might be lurking underneath. The stories we explore today, Gacy, the 2016 clown panic, each speak to something bigger than just face paint and balloon animals. They speak to the danger of hiding true intentions, to the fragile line between play and predator, between myth and menace. In John Wayne Gacy, we saw how monsters can wear disguises of trust. He wasn't a stranger in the shadows. He was a man invited into homes, into communities. A figure of entertainment who embodied safety until the mask came off. It reminds us that real evil doesn't always come announced. Sometimes it knocks on your door in a costume you're glad to see.
Sorry.
What?
First I was like, that's not a costume I want to see. And then some costumes I wanted to see knocking on my door happened. And
wow. Yeah.
We'll just leave it
Star Wars fan fiction? No.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's fun. Then came the 2016 clown sightings where fear turned contagious. A few eerie sightings ballooned into hysteria. Suddenly, every clown costume was a possible threat. Every rustle in the trees a potential attack. We watched logic dissolve as fear took the wheel. It's a cautionary tale on how panic distorts perception. When fear becomes viral, it doesn't need a source. It just needs an echo. So what do we take away from all this? Maybe the lesson in this: fear is a tool, and like all tools, it can be misused. When we hand our fear over to the legends, to headlines, or to masked figures in the night, we give them power. But that fear is ours to own. The same imagination that conjures up monsters can also be used to chase them away. We live in a world that often encourages spectacle over substance. Clowns are just the beginning. Anything can be turned into a mask, an identity, a belief, even a job title. But behind every mask is a person. And behind every person, a choice. So the next time something frightens you, ask yourself, is it the thing itself or what it represents? Because in the end, legends don't last because they're true. They last because they reflect something that is. We'll see you next week. Until then, keep your eyes open and maybe leave the porch light on. I think I wanted to close it on that, but whatever. That would be like a really cold ending.
I think that's fine.
Well, I think that's
Unless
fine.
you want to talk some more.
Well, we can just close it out the normal way.
That's your normal way. A black follow Jesus. Someone's got to do it.
You know?
I know.
Read between the lines.
I did.
And there was nothing there, it turns out. Oopsie. Yeah. So that's all I got. I like this episode a lot more than I like the last one.
Well, the last one was more internet urban legends.
Yeah, and those get just a little stale. I guess when I was putting it together, it felt more unique. And when I was actually delivering it, it felt like all of those things, except for maybe one, were the same thing with very slight variations of it. And I just didn't pick up on that as I was piecing it together. And that pissed me off.
I've been there.
You have been there.
It sucks. Like
It does.
you're like going and you're like, thought you had, and you're like,
Mhm. You're like, look at this masterpiece that I'm crafting for the fine listeners of the Freaky Deaky. And then you present it and you're like, look at this absolute dumpster fire of a project that I've submitted.
sometimes like when I'm going through seeing what I have or what I'm working on, I'll come across some of those old ones that turned out exactly like that I just like, ooh, nope.
Oops a daisy, shouldn't have done that.
I think one of them, remember like the stairs in the forest or something like that?
Hell yeah, I want to do that.
That one is exactly like last week's.
Well, we haven't done that.
Trust me.
Is it because it's exactly like last week's?
It's like similar stuff. So I need to go check my lottery numbers from when I was in Colorado.
You do.
I don't suppose you bought any lottery tickets when you were in a lottery state. I should have reminded you.
I thought about it. I was staring at them. I'm not going to fucking state's so damn expensive as it is, gas tax and all that. Like, get the hell out of here, California. Who do you think you are? Good thing we left 1 week before it absolutely got destroyed. Weird timing. Good timing, though. Holy shit. You know, classic stuff. Keep doing you, America. We'll see you next week where Christian's probably going to talk about something.
I will.
So that my voice can recover a little bit. And hopefully by the end of that, I'll be able to, I can't hit my high registers right now.
I'm glad I didn't get the voice problems that you got.
It shut me down for 10 solid days.
As soon as I realized I was starting to have allergies, I went and bought my allergy medicine.
Oh, so did I. I bought like 16 different kinds of it.
Well, that's...
None of it actually worked.
Did you feel cracked out?
I didn't take them all at once.
Oh.
It was like every day I try something. I'm like, well, that didn't work, so I'm going to try this one.
I only use Zyrtec now because it doesn't knock me on my ass.
Yeah, it's just a bummer when, like, I'm talking about, like, family members I haven't seen in, like, 25 years, you know?
Yeah.
Like, something like that. I'm like, oh, I want to catch up with this dude. And then I'm trying to talk. I'm like, yeah, so anyway. Like, it's just like I can't enjoy myself. I'm a talker. We have a podcast, Christian. We're both talkers, you know?
It's ridiculous how
It's a
much I
curse,
talk.
damn it.
I get it. I hate when that happens to me. But
Why have you forsaken me?
you know what would really suck now is with my job, they'd send me upstairs. Like, I don't mind going upstairs, especially with my knee sore, because I can sit down for a little bit, but 8 hours of that shit.
8 hours of that shit.
8 hours of being covered in keef, shoving it in bags, packing pre-rolls.
It sounds like your weed podcast. Covered in keef with Christian. Well, the idea is just don't ever stop, damn it. It's so hard. We need to become multimillionaires so we can just build out an entire empire of podcasts and shows.
I think my store should do a podcast.
We could produce it.
That's part of the problem is I'm like, I don't have that much time.
Yeah. Time.
I mean, you see me all the time because I'm always hanging out with Atlas. So
that's true.
Like,
they really do be like that.
I'm single, but I'm like,
but he ain't ready to mingle.
Yeah.
You have to come over to my house and meet my son who's in a toddler phase, which I promise you is not fun. So
it's still a lot of fun, but it's irritating at times. And I have a lot of patience. So if I'm getting irritated, I know everybody else is.
Mm-hmm. There's no reprieve is what it is. It's that he goes to sleep like that and then he wakes up like that. And I'm like, I didn't get nothing. Right? I didn't get a few hours of, hey, Dada, I love you, Dada.
That'll come back.
Hold hand. No, it's fine. Anyway, guys, we stopped talking about clowns a while ago, I think to kind of let us all recover because it was creepy. And now that that's out of the way, we'll see you right back here next week on the Frinkity Dinkity. Be sure to go pick up a sticker pack, get yourself a t-shirt, really help support the show, grow this bad boy out. We appreciate you. Goodbye.
Bigfoot is stalking by your window. Dogman is scratching at your door. Ghosties are walking up and down your halls at night, and the Hat Man is coming back for more. Your name is Christian. You love a can of beans, and you're the wettest blanket skeptic this world has ever seen. Welcome
building a successful podcast. And it's funny, even like Tony and stuff, when I've been working on a couple websites for him, and that dude's like as sporadic as I am for the most part. So he'll tell me to work on something, I'll get to work on it, and then he'll be like, hey man, I need you to do this. And it's like something entirely different. He's like, oh, I'll do this. And like, but there was some logo for some and he's working on or something. And wow, loudest spike of all time. And he sent me over where we were kind of talking about it on the phone. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. I'll see what I can do. And then like an hour or two later, he sent me over. He's like, this is inspiration for that logo. And it's just like an AI generated image. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, there's inspiration, sure. But also that like anything that an AI puts together as far as logo creation is probably is better than something that I can do by hand. Are there going to be issues with it? Yes. There's going to be a lot of stuff wrong with it. But as far as the actual visual of it, it's good. See, me, I can generate images with AI and then I have the know-how to fix them.
That's what I don't have when that's why it's so hard for me to generate an image, because it has to come out decent to begin with.
That's what I'm saying. I have to look over it and then be like, can I pull this into, Illustrator or Photoshop and can I fix this? And the answer is almost always yes. But the really good AI that I like, the generators that I use and stuff like that, you can actually edit it a little bit. And so I don't feel great that I generate AI art all the time, but at the same time, I love that I can actually make it look good.
I just look at it this way. Time is money.
Yeah.
So if it's saving you time, and in your case, it's not just money, it's sanity, maybe.
Mm. And it's also me being a creative person and being a graphic designer. I can visualize something and I can create something, but I cannot draw something.
You can't hold on to that either.
This is twice now.
I know.
It's a great song by Lydia. You didn't let me finish my sentence, but yeah. So I can have visuals in my head, but I'm not like a hand artist. I can't sit there and sketch and then like create something out of that. It's always just stuff that I either piece together or I can figure out. And so having access to something that can generate my ideas way better than I can, it allows me to kind of expand like a lot of that like 50s stuff that I did for that sticker pack and everything like that. Like a lot of those ideas start with AI generations. And then I'm like, okay, I need to vectorize this so that I can edit it and I can make tweaks and stuff that I need to.
I don't even know what a vectorizing is. I've heard the word, but I don't understand it.
You know how if you're to take a picture and you're to blow it up, 500%, it'd be all blurry. Vectors are just clean lines. And so you can have something this big, you blow it up and it's going to be crisp. It's
is it like
look.
Pixels?
No. Pixels is what makes things blurry.
So it's like controlling the pixels?
I honestly, it's witchcraft to some extent, but it's pretty much just, you can just blow things up infinitely and it's just a clean, they call it a vector.
How do you vectorize stuff?
Well, a lot of it is either tracing it by hand, which is like with a pen tool or something like that. And so you go through and you clean everything up and make a vector of it. You can also, there's services where you can actually send it out and get something vectorized, which is helpful, but a lot of times kind of expensive. So I don't do that. Or if I send something out and then they're like, yeah, we can't do this one. So then I have to sit there for like 5 hours and literally like trace the design over with a pen.
Because I totally understand it, because I too was on MySpace, and when you try to put some of those cool images and it's like 3 centimeters big.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you can't do anything about it to make it look good.
These 19 pixels look great. Yeah. So there's pros and cons to AI. Pro, I can kind of do better things with my vision. I can expand on my personal, I guess, view of how I picture things. I can expand on that. But the con, I'm probably going to lose a job and not have a job for the rest of my life. So does it balance out? Kind of, but not that much, It's fine.
I know a pot shop you could work at.
I might have to, Christian. I might have to get to that point, And honestly, I think back on my time at McDonald's and I'm like, the place was dope.
I think sometimes it's like, this is comparable to my job at Blockbuster Video back.
Yeah, because it's the people. It's not the actual labor of it. It's the kind of camaraderie that you have with the group of people you're working with.
That's what I like about my job is great with the people I work with.
And that's what McDonald's was for me. It was a bunch of, me and high school people. And like, I was just I was in high school at that time. So it's like, yeah, I made really good friends that I still talk to.
Unfortunately, McDonald's isn't like that anymore.
Yeah. But I know, dude. When I got my, it's a bit for something else. It's all right. I'll save that for somewhere else. Gen Z. I had a moment with a Gen Z dude.
I don't know why. That made me think of, like, I went on I told you I played Rock Lobster for Atlas and he loved it.
Hell yeah.
But I watched something on the B-52s, and it was a crappy little YouTube doc, 20 minutes. But then I went back and I was like, you know what? I should go back and listen to that Cosmic Thing album again, because when that album came out, I loved it.
Yeah.
So I played it last night with headphones. I was like,
damn it, this is so good.
Yeah, and the words are like, the lyrics are ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's just a fun like, for the most part, every song is like, makes you want to move.
And that truly is the point of music.
What are we going to do? Music is magic as an episode or something.
I think there's enough information out there that you could actually pull that off.
I was thinking, yeah.
Like that thing I sent you a couple nights ago about that, like, was it Mozart?
Oh, yeah.
Specific.
Okay, good. Okay,
Yeah.
I have it.
Specific one of his symphonies or one of his pieces, like, kills cancer cells or something like that. Like, I was like, this 100% has to be fake, right? There's no way. But classical music, they say play it during pregnancy, you get
vibrations. I don't know about the classical music during pregnancy. I'm not a believer.
So that's the one thing that you can't grasp onto. But killing cancer cells is fine.
Okay, here's what I would say about classical music during pregnancy. I do think it has the potential to help wire, a baby's
creativity.
brain.
I feel like it gives you creativity.
It exposes you to a type of creativity that tends to foster more creativity, if that makes sense.
Not really, but I like where your head's at.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into this clown shit, huh?
Let's not.
I'm going to go ahead and... This one does have an opening monologue, so it can save me.
You do realize that I already told you I have a creepy-ass closet with a cellar, and clowns like to hang out in cellars.
I think that might have just been the one clown.
That's all it took. It was one of the creepiest clowns ever.
And we will talk about that one. Anyway,